The voicemail came at 3:47 a.m. I stared at my phone screen, heart pounding, knowing before I even pressed play that it was him. 2 years. 2 years of silence, of rebuilding, of learning to sleep without checking the logs twice. 2 years. And now his name was glowing on my screen like a warning light I'd forgotten to disconnect. Natalie, it's Marcus. I know you're awake. You always wake up when you're stressed. Listen, I need to talk to you about something important. Business. Call me back. I deleted it. But 3 more came before sunrise. Each one a little more urgent, a little more demanding. By the time I dragged myself out of bed, there were 7. The coffee maker sputtered to life as I played the last one. Natalie, this is serious. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. And you're going to help me because that company you're running, the one you built while we were married, half of that is mine. I did the research. I talked to a lawyer. So call me back, or I'm calling yours. My hands shook as I set the phone down. The audacity, the absolute audacity of this man to reach across 2 years of divorce, 2 years of restraining orders and lawyer fees, and splitting everything down to the last kitchen fork, and claim he had any right to what I'd built. TechBridge Solutions wasn't even a dream when I married Marcus. It was barely a whisper of an idea, something I sketched on napkins during lunch breaks from my corporate job while he sat across from me, scrolling through sports betting apps. I'd started it 3 years into our marriage, working 16-hour days, pitching clients while he bounced between jobs and promises to figure things out. The company survived our divorce. Marcus didn't even ask about it during the settlement. He'd wanted the car, the savings account, half the furniture. He didn't care about my little tech thing. His words. I didn't call him back. I went to work. My office was on the 4th floor of a renovated factory building in downtown Portland. Exposed brick, tall windows, the kind of place that made clients feel like they were investing in something modern and innovative. Which they were. TechBridge specialized in data migration for mid-sized companies transitioning to cloud systems. Boring to explain at parties. Extremely lucrative to execute. Maya was already at her desk when I arrived, 2 monitors glowing, a half-eaten bagel abandoned beside her keyboard. You look like hell, she said, not looking up from her screen. Good morning to you too. I'm serious. What's wrong? I dropped into my chair and pulled up my calendar. 3 client calls today, a pitch meeting at 2, a contract review at 4. Normal, manageable, except my hands were still shaking. Marcus called me. Maya's fingers froze mid-type. She swiveled to face me, dark eyes sharp. What did he want? Money? What else? Did you block him? I did, 2 years ago. He's using a new number. She stood, walked to my desk, and held out her hand. Give me your phone. Maya, give me your phone. I handed it over. She tapped through screens, blocked the number, then scrolled through my voicemail and deleted every message from him without listening. When she handed it back, her expression was granite. If he contacts you again, we go to the police. That restraining order doesn't expire just because he got bored. He said he has a lawyer. He thinks he's entitled to half the company. Maya laughed, actually laughed. Based on what legal theory? Delusional entitlement? He said he helped build it. He didn't even know what we did here until after you filed for divorce. That was true. Marcus had thought TechBridge was some kind of IT support company, the kind that fixed printers and reset passwords. He'd never asked questions, never showed interest. The only time he'd ever visited the office was to pick me up for his brother's wedding, and he'd spent the entire time on his phone in the lobby. I know, I said quietly, but he's going to try something. I can feel it. Maya sat on the edge of my desk. Then let him try. We have lawyers. We have documentation. We have a divorce decree that clearly states asset division. He has nothing. I wanted to believe her, but I knew Marcus. When he wanted something, when he was desperate, he didn't think about logic or laws. He thought about pressure points. And I had been his favorite pressure point for 8 years. The day passed in a blur of meetings and emails. I kept my phone face down, but I felt it buzz twice during the afternoon. I didn't check. I didn't want to know. At 6, Maya knocked on my office door. "I'm heading out. You coming?" "Soon. I just need to finish this contract review." She hesitated. "Don't stay too late. And Nat, if he shows up here, you call the police. Not me. Not your lawyer. The police. He won't show up. Promise me." "I promise." She left. The office went quiet. I pulled up the contract, tried to focus on indemnification clauses and liability limits, but the words blurred together. My mind kept circling back to those voicemails. The tone in his voice, urgent, almost panicked. Marcus didn't panic unless he was in deep. I pulled out my phone. One missed call from an unknown number. No voicemail. Then a text from the same number. "Fine, don't answer. But you'll regret ignoring me. I know things about your company you don't want public." My stomach dropped. I read it 3 times, trying to parse what he meant. What could he possibly know? He'd never been involved, never had access. Unless... Another text. "Check your email." I opened my laptop, refreshed my inbox. There it was. An email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, "We need to talk." I clicked it. "Natalie, since you won't answer my calls, I'll make this simple. I owe some people money. A lot of money. $200,000 to be exact, and they're not the kind of people who accept payment plans. I need you to sell TechBridge. I've done the math. With your client base and contracts, you could get at least $800K, maybe more. Sell it, give me half, and we both walk away clean. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I have no right to ask. But here's the thing. I've been talking to people who know how divorce settlements work. And they told me that if I can prove I contributed to the business during our marriage, I'm entitled to a portion. I have bank statements showing I paid our rent while you were getting the company started. I have emails where you thanked me for supporting your dream. I have witnesses who will testify that I provided emotional and financial support during the early years. So you can do this the easy way or the hard way. Easy way. You sell, we split, I disappear. Hard way. I take you to court, drag this out for years, cost you tens of thousands in legal fees, and still get my share. Your choice. You have 1 week to decide. Marcus. I read it twice, then a third time. Then I closed my laptop and sat in the dark office, listening to the hum of the heating system and the distant sound of traffic below. He was bluffing. He had to be. Our divorce had been finalized 2 years ago. Everything had been divided. He couldn't just reopen the case because he'd made bad decisions and owed money to dangerous people. Could he? I called my lawyer. It went to voicemail. I left a message, trying to keep my voice steady, then sat staring at the dark screen of my laptop. 1 week. I drove home on autopilot, parked in my assigned spot, climbed the stairs to my 3rd-floor apartment. It was small, clean, mine. I'd bought it 6 months after the divorce, furnishing it piece by piece from thrift stores and IKEA. Nothing from the marriage, nothing that carried his presence. I poured a glass of wine, sat on the couch, and tried to think logically. Marcus was in debt. Gambling, probably. He'd always had a problem with it, though he'd hidden the extent until our marriage was already crumbling. I discovered the credit card statements, the secret accounts, the loans from friends he'd never mentioned. By the time I filed for divorce, he'd burned through $60,000 of our savings chasing wins that never came. Now he owed $200,000 to people who didn't accept payment plans, and he thought I would save him. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it ring through to voicemail, then immediately played the message. "Natalie, it's me. I know you got my email. I know you're ignoring me, but I need you to understand something. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to destroy what you built. But I will if I have to. These people I owe, they're not playing games. If I don't pay them, they'll come after everything I have. And since I don't have anything, they'll start looking at you. At your company, at your clients. Do you really want them digging into your business? Do you really want that kind of attention? Call me back. We can figure this out like adults." I deleted the voicemail, blocked the number, poured another glass of wine. He was escalating, threatening, trying to scare me into compliance. It was working. I barely slept. Every sound in the building made me jump. Every car door, every footstep in the hallway. I kept checking my phone, half expecting another call, another email, another threat. At 6 a.m., I gave up on sleep and went for a run. The streets were empty, the air cold and sharp. I pushed myself hard, trying to outrun the anxiety coiling in my chest. When I got back, there were 3 missed calls from Maya. I called her back. "Where are you?" she demanded. "Home. I went for a run. What's wrong? Get to the office. Now." "Maya, what?" "Just get here." She hung up. I threw on clothes, grabbed my keys, and drove to the office with my heart in my throat. The drive took 12 minutes. It felt like an hour. Maya was waiting in the parking lot. Her face was pale, her jaw tight. "What happened?" I asked, climbing out of my car. She didn't answer, just turned and walked toward the building entrance. I followed her inside, up the stairs, down the hallway to our office suite. The door was ajar. The lock was broken. My stomach dropped. Maya pushed the door open. The office was destroyed. Every monitor smashed. Every desk overturned. Filing cabinets tipped. Papers scattered across the floor. The motivational posters I'd hung on the walls were torn down, shredded. Someone had spray painted across the exposed brick in jagged red letters. "Sell." I stood in the doorway, frozen. Maya walked through the wreckage, stepping over broken glass and twisted cables. Security footage shows 3 men. They broke in around 2 a.m. Took them about 20 minutes to do all this. "Did you call the police?" "They're on their way." I walked inside slowly, taking in the damage. My office was the worst. My computer was in pieces. My desk had been flipped. The framed photo of me and Maya at our first client meeting was smashed on the floor. And sitting in the middle of the chaos, propped against the leg of my overturned chair, was a handwritten note. "1 week. Don't make me come back." I picked it up with shaking hands. Maya appeared beside me. "Is that his handwriting?" I nodded. "Then we have him." The police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 officers, one older, with gray at his temples, one younger, with a notebook. They took photos, asked questions, bagged the note as evidence. "Do you know who did this?" the older officer asked. "My ex-husband," I said. "Marcus Webb. He's been threatening me, demanding I sell my company to pay off his debts." The younger officer looked up from his notebook. "Do you have proof of the threats?" I pulled out my phone, showed them the emails, the text messages, played the voicemails I'd saved before Maya deleted them. The older officer's expression hardened. "We'll bring him in for questioning. Do you have a current address?" I gave them the last address I had from the divorce paperwork. They said they'd be in touch and left. Maya and I stood in the wreckage of our office, surrounded by everything we'd built, now in pieces. "How much damage?" I asked quietly. Maya pulled out her phone, scrolled through photos she'd taken before I arrived. "I'm estimating around $80,000. The computers alone are $30,000. Then there's the furniture, the servers, the lost data if the backups don't hold." I closed my eyes. "Insurance will cover it. Eventually, but Nat, this isn't about money. He broke in here. He destroyed our work. He could have waited for you. What if you'd been here late?" I didn't answer. Because I had been here late. Just last night. If he'd come 6 hours earlier, I would have been alone in the office when he and his friends broke down the door. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Hi, Natalie. This is Officer Chen. We're at the address you gave us for Marcus Webb. He's not here. The landlord says he moved out 3 months ago. Do you have any other contact information?" "No, I blocked him. I don't know where he is." "All right. We've issued a warrant for his arrest. If he contacts you again, call us immediately." She hung up. I looked at Maya. "They can't find him. Then he'll turn up. Men like Marcus always do." We spent the rest of the morning documenting the damage, calling insurance, contacting clients to explain that we'd have a brief delay in deliverables due to unexpected technical issues. Professional, calm. Like our entire office hadn't just been demolished by my vengeful ex-husband. At noon, my phone rang. Unknown number again. This time, I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. But when I played the message, it wasn't Marcus. Ms. Webb, this is Detective Torres with Portland PD. We have your ex-husband in custody. He was picked up about an hour ago. There's something you should know. When we arrested him, he asked to make a phone call. He called you. I'm guessing that was the call you just missed. He's asking for you to come to the station. Says he needs to talk to you. You're under no obligation to come, but I wanted to let you know. I saved the voicemail. Then I called Maya into my office. The police have him, I said. Her shoulders dropped in relief. Good, let him rot. He's asking for me. Absolutely not. I know. But even as I said it, a part of me wondered what he wanted. What he could possibly say now that he was in handcuffs, facing felony vandalism charges, looking at real prison time. My phone rang again. The police station number. I answered. Ms. Webb, this is Detective Torres again. Your ex-husband is getting pretty agitated. He's insisting he needs to talk to you. Says it's urgent. Like I said, you don't have to come. But he's not calming down, and I thought you'd want to know. What happens if I don't come? We process him. He sees a judge tomorrow for bail hearing, and we move forward with charges. And if I do come, you can talk to him through the glass in a monitored room, completely safe, completely your choice. I close my eyes. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Maya grabbed my arm as I stood. Don't do this. I need to hear what he has to say. No, you don't. You don't owe him anything. I know, but I need to see him. I need to look him in the eye and know I'm done. She searched my face, then let go. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. I'm coming. We drove to the police station in silence. Maya parked, and we walked inside together. Detective Torres met us in the lobby, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a kind smile. He's in room 3, she said. You'll be separated by glass. There's a phone on each side. Take as much or as little time as you need. If you feel uncomfortable at any point, just stand up and leave. We'll be watching. She led us down a hallway to a small room with a chair, a narrow counter, and a thick pane of reinforced glass. On the other side, Marcus sat in handcuffs, his hair unwashed, his eyes red. He looked awful. I sat down, picked up the phone. He grabbed his immediately. Natalie, thank God. I need you to listen to me. I'm listening. This is all a misunderstanding. I didn't break into your office. I wasn't there. I was with friends. They'll vouch for me. The police have security footage, Marcus. His face crumpled. Okay. I was there. But I didn't touch anything. It was the guys I was with. They got out of hand. I tried to stop them. You left me a note. I was angry. I wasn't thinking. But I never meant for it to go this far. I just needed you to understand how serious this is. The people I owe, Natalie, they're dangerous. They're threatening me. They said if I don't pay by the end of the week, they'll hurt me, really hurt me. I stared at him through the glass. 2 years ago, this would have broken me. 2 years ago, I would have believed him, helped him, sacrificed myself to save him from consequences he'd created. But I wasn't that woman anymore. You destroyed my office, I said quietly. You caused $80,000 in damage. You threatened me. You tried to extort me. And now you want me to feel sorry for you? I need you to drop the charges, please. If I go to prison, those people will find me. They have connections inside. I won't survive. That's not my problem. His face twisted. How can you say that? We were married. We built a life together. No, Marcus. I built a life. You coasted on it. And when I finally left, you didn't care about me or the company. You cared about the car and the savings account. You called TechBridge my little tech thing. You didn't think it was worth anything. So don't sit there now and pretend you have any claim to it. He slammed his hand on the counter. That company wouldn't exist without me. I paid our rent while you were starting it. I supported you. You paid rent with my money. I was working 60 hours a week at my corporate job while building TechBridge on the side. You were unemployed and gambling away everything we had. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? You stole $60,000 from our savings to feed your addiction. You lied to me for years. You manipulated me into thinking I was the problem. And now you break into my office, destroy everything I've built, and you think I'm going to save you?" He stared at me, and for a moment, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not remorse, not regret, just shock that I wasn't bending. "I'll tell the court you transferred assets," he said, his voice low and cold. "I'll tell them you hid money during the divorce. I'll make your life hell." I stood up. "Do whatever you want, Marcus. I'm done." I hung up the phone. He was shouting something, his mouth moving frantically behind the glass, but I couldn't hear him. Didn't want to. I walked out of the room. Maya was waiting in the hallway. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Free," I said, and I meant it. We drove back to the office. The insurance adjuster was waiting, clipboard in hand, examining the damage with a detached professional air. We walked him through everything, answered his questions, signed forms. By the time he left, it was almost 5. Maya ordered takeout, and we ate sitting on the floor of the wrecked office, surrounded by broken glass and overturned furniture. "What happens now?" Maya asked, picking at her noodles. "We rebuild, again." She smiled faintly. "You're good at that." "I've had practice." My phone buzzed. Detective Torres. "Ms. Webb, I wanted to update you. Marcus Webb has been formally charged with felony vandalism, breaking and entering, and violating a restraining order. His bail hearing is tomorrow morning at 9. The prosecutor is recommending he be held without bail given the threats and the nature of the crime. Thank you. One more thing. When we searched him, we found a list of your clients and their contact information. Were you aware he had that?" My blood went cold. "No. How did he get it?" "We're looking into that. But I wanted you to know in case you need to notify them." I hung up and told Maya. She swore under her breath. "He must have gotten it from the website. Our client list is public. We need to send out a statement, let them know what happened, assure them their data is secure. I'll draft it tonight." We worked until midnight, crafting a careful message that explained the break-in without revealing too much, assuring clients that all data was backed up off-site and no sensitive information had been compromised. It wasn't entirely true. We didn't know yet what had been compromised, but it was the best we could do. I drove home exhausted, every muscle aching. But when I walked into my apartment and locked the door behind me, I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Safe. Marcus was in jail. He couldn't call me, couldn't threaten me, couldn't show up at my door. For the first time since those voicemails started, I slept through the night. The bail hearing was at 9. I didn't plan to go. But at 8, Detective Torres called. "The prosecutor would like you there. Your presence could influence the judge's decision on bail." So I went. Maya came with me. The courtroom was small, sterile, rows of benches filled with people waiting for their cases to be called. Marcus was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. He saw me and his expression shifted, something between desperation and rage. The judge called his case. The prosecutor stood, outlined the charges, presented evidence, the security footage, the threatening emails and voicemails, the note left at the scene, the list of my clients found in his possession. Then Marcus's public defender stood. "Your Honor, my client admits he made a serious mistake. He was under extreme emotional and financial duress. His ex-wife refused to help him despite the fact that their marriage contributed to the success of her business. He acted out of desperation, not malice. He has no prior violent offenses. We ask that he be released on bail so he can seek treatment for his gambling addiction and make amends." The judge looked unimpressed. "Does the defendant wish to speak?" Marcus stood. "Your Honor, I know what I did was wrong, but I was desperate. I owed dangerous people a lot of money, and I thought my ex-wife would help me because we built that company together. When she refused, I lost control. I'm not a violent person. I just need a chance to make this right." The judge turned to me. "Ms. Webb, would you like to make a statement?" I stood slowly. Maya squeezed my hand. "Your Honor, Marcus and I were married for 8 years. During that time, I supported him financially while he struggled with unemployment and a gambling addiction. I started my company 3 years into our marriage, working a full-time job and building the business on nights and weekends. Marcus was not involved. He didn't contribute financially, creatively, or operationally. When we divorced 2 years ago, all assets were divided according to Oregon law. He received half of our savings, the car, and several pieces of furniture. He did not ask for any stake in my company because at the time he didn't believe it was valuable. Now that it is, he's trying to claim ownership. When I refused to sell my business to pay his gambling debts, he broke into my office with 2 other men and caused over $80,000 in damage. He left me a note threatening to come back. He's called me over a dozen times from different numbers, violating the restraining order from our divorce. I don't feel safe with him free. I don't believe he'll stop, and I don't think he deserves bail. I sat down. My hands were shaking, but my voice had been steady. The judge made a note, then looked at Marcus. Mr. Webb, I'm denying bail. You'll remain in custody pending trial, given the evidence of threats, property destruction, and violation of a restraining order. I consider you a flight risk and a danger to the victim. We'll reconvene in 30 days for a preliminary hearing. Marcus's face went white. He turned to his lawyer, started arguing in a frantic whisper. The bailiff led him away. He looked back at me once, and I met his eyes without flinching. Maya and I walked out of the courthouse into bright morning sunlight. You were amazing in there, she said. I was terrified. You didn't look it. We grabbed coffee and sat on a bench outside the courthouse, watching people come and go. What now? Maya asked. Now we rebuild the office, we replace the equipment, we reassure our clients, we move forward. And Marcus, he's not my problem anymore. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't over. Not really. There would be a trial, there would be lawyers and testimony and reliving all of this in front of strangers. And even after that, even if he went to prison, there would always be a part of me bracing for the next call, the next threat, the next time he decided I owed him something. That's what Marcus had taken from me. Not money, not my company, but the feeling of safety, the ability to exhale, and I hated him for it. My phone rang. Unknown number. I tensed, then answered. Miss Webb, this is David Chen from Marcus Webb's legal team. I represent him in a civil matter regarding the dissolution of marital assets. I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss his claim to a portion of TechBridge Solutions. I hung up, called my lawyer, left a message. Then I turned off my phone and sat on that bench with Maya, drinking overpriced coffee and pretending just for a moment that everything was fine. Because I knew what was coming. Marcus was in jail, but he wasn't done fighting. He was going to drag this out, weaponize the courts, and try every angle to get money from me. And I was going to have to fight back. Again. That night, I sat in my apartment with a bottle of wine and my laptop, scrolling through the insurance claim, the police reports, the legal documents from the divorce, trying to find some angle, some protection, some way to shield myself from what was coming. And that's when I remembered, 6 months ago, a conversation with my lawyer. I'd called him, panicked, after running into Marcus's brother at a coffee shop. The brother had mentioned Marcus was back in town, asking questions about me, about the company. My lawyer had said, if you're worried he might come after the business, there are steps we can take. Legal protections, restructuring. At the time, I dismissed it, thought I was being paranoid, but he'd sent me paperwork, just in case. I dug through my files, found the folder labeled TechBridge Legal, pulled out the documents. There it was, a proposal to transfer ownership of TechBridge Solutions from me to Maya, with me remaining as a salaried employee and cooperator. The company would still function the same way. We'd still share decisions, profits, responsibilities. But legally, on paper, I wouldn't own it, which meant Marcus couldn't claim it. I stared at the paperwork for a long time. Then I called Maya. It's 11 at night, she answered, voice groggy. Someone better be dead. I need you to listen to something. I explained the plan, the transfer, the legal protection. There was a long silence. "You want to give me the company?" she finally said. "Not give. Transfer ownership, temporarily. Just until this is over. Nat, you built this. It's yours. And if Marcus finds a way to take half of it, it won't exist. But if it's legally yours, he can't touch it." Another silence. "When do we do it?" Maya asked. "Tomorrow." We met with my lawyer the next afternoon. He walked us through the paperwork, explained the implications, made sure we both understood what we were signing. "This is a legitimate transfer," he said. "Natalie will no longer be the legal owner of TechBridge Solutions. Maya will have full ownership and control. Natalie will be listed as an employee with operational authority, but legally, the company belongs to Maya. If Marcus tries to claim it, he has no case." "What if he argues the transfer was fraudulent?" I asked. "He'd have to prove it was done specifically to hide assets from him." But the divorce was finalized 2 years ago. All assets were divided. He has no legal standing to reopen the case. And even if he tried, the transfer happened after the divorce, which means it's your asset to do with as you please. You're allowed to sell your business, give it away, restructure it however you want. I signed the papers. Maya signed the papers. And just like that, TechBridge Solutions wasn't mine anymore. We walked out of the lawyer's office into gray drizzle. "How do you feel?" Maya asked. "Lighter," I said. And I meant it. Because Marcus could threaten all he wanted. He could hire lawyers, file motions, drag me into court. But he couldn't take what I didn't own. 3 days later, I got a call from the prosecutor's office. "Ms. Webb, we wanted to inform you that Marcus Webb's attorney has filed a motion requesting that the vandalism charges be reduced to a misdemeanor in exchange for a guilty plea and restitution. They're offering $50,000 to cover damages." $50,000? The damage was $80,000. We're aware, but trials are expensive and time-consuming. The judge might accept the plea. We wanted to get your input. What happens if I say no? We go to trial, which could take months, and there's no guarantee of a conviction. Juries are unpredictable. I close my eyes, and if I say yes, he pleads guilty, pays restitution, and likely gets probation with mandatory counseling for gambling addiction. He'll have a criminal record, but he won't serve jail time. I need to think about it. "Take your time. We'll reach out again next week," I told Maya. She was furious. "He destroys our office and gets probation, that's it? It's not about justice, it's about what's realistic." "It's not enough." "I know." But I also knew that dragging this through a trial meant months of stress, court dates, reliving the worst moments of my marriage in front of strangers. It meant Marcus staying in my life, a constant presence, a wound that wouldn't close. Maybe probation and restitution weren't enough, but maybe they were enough for me to move on. I called the prosecutor the next day. "I'll accept the plea, but I want a no-contact order as part of the agreement. He doesn't call, doesn't email, doesn't come near me or my business, ever." "We can add that." "Then yes." The plea hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. I didn't go. I didn't need to see him again. But I did get a letter from his lawyer a week after. "Ms. Webb, my client has instructed me to inform you that he intends to pursue a civil claim regarding the division of marital assets, specifically your business, TechBridge Solutions. We have evidence that the company was established during your marriage, and that Mr. Webb contributed both financially and emotionally to its success. We will be filing a motion to reopen the divorce settlement and claim his rightful share. We'll be in touch to schedule a deposition. Sincerely, David Chen, Esk." I forwarded it to my lawyer. He called me an hour later, laughing. "They have no case. None. The divorce is final. Assets were divided. And even if they tried to argue he contributed, you transferred ownership 6 months ago. The company isn't legally yours. There's nothing for him to claim. So we're safe? Completely." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. "Let them file the motion," my lawyer continued. "Let them waste their time and money. When they subpoena financial records and see Maya's name on the ownership documents, they'll drop it. And if they don't, then we go to court, present the transfer agreement, and watch the judge throw it out. Either way, you're protected. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. Marcus thought he was backing me into a corner. He thought I'd panic, sell the company, give him what he wanted. He didn't know I'd already moved the pieces off the board. The motion was filed a week later. My lawyer responded with the transfer documents. There was a brief back and forth, Marcus's lawyer arguing the transfer was fraudulent, my lawyer calmly dismantling every argument with case law and precedent. And then, silence. A month passed, then 2. The office was rebuilt. New equipment, new furniture, a fresh coat of paint over the spray-painted brick. The insurance payout covered most of it. We held a small reopening party, just Maya and me and a few of our closest clients, toasting with cheap champagne in plastic cups. It felt like a beginning. And then, 3 months after the break-in, I got a call from Detective Torres. Ms. Webb, I wanted to let you know that Marcus Webb was released from custody this morning. He completed his probation requirements early, and the judge signed off on his release. The no-contact order is still in effect, but I wanted you to be aware. I thanked her and hung up. Marcus was out, free, walking the same streets I walked, breathing the same air. I told myself it didn't matter. The no-contact order protected me. The company was safe. I'd done everything right. But that night, I double-checked the locks on my apartment door. And I kept my phone on the nightstand, ringer on, just in case. 2 weeks later, my doorbell rang at 10 p.m. I froze. Checked the peephole. Marcus. He looked different, thinner, tired. But it was him. I didn't open the door. Natalie, I know you're in there, he said, voice muffled through the wood. I just want to talk. Please. You're violating the no-contact order, I called back. Leave or I'm calling the police. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Leave. Now. There was a long pause. Then I heard footsteps retreating down the hallway. I called the police anyway. Reported the violation. They said they'd send an officer to his last known address. But I didn't sleep that night. Because Marcus was out, and he wasn't done. The next morning, I told Maya what happened. We need to escalate this, she said. File for a permanent restraining order. Get cameras for your apartment. Make sure he can't get near you. I will. But even as I said it, I felt the exhaustion settling in. The constant vigilance, the endless precautions, the knowledge that no matter how many barriers I put up, Marcus would always find a way to push. Because that's what he did. That's who he was. And I was so tired of fighting. That afternoon, I met with my lawyer to file for the permanent restraining order. We filled out forms, gathered evidence, scheduled a hearing. And as I sat in his office, signing yet another document, I realized something. I'd spent 2 years rebuilding my life after Marcus. 2 years creating distance, safety, independence. And in 3 weeks, he'd shattered all of it. Not because he'd destroyed my office or threatened me or violated court orders, but because he'd proven that no matter how far I ran, how much I built, how many legal protections I put in place, he would always be there. A shadow, a threat, a reminder that I would never be completely free. And I hated him for it. But more than that, I hated myself for still letting him have that power. I finished signing the forms and left the lawyer's office. Drove home, parked, sat in my car for a long time, staring at the steering wheel. Then I pulled out my phone and called my therapist. I need an appointment, I said when she answered. As soon as possible. Is everything okay? No, but it will be. Because I realized something sitting in that car. Marcus didn't have power over me because he was dangerous, or persistent, or willing to break the law. He had power over me because I gave it to him. Because I kept reacting, kept defending, kept letting him dictate the terms of my life. And I was done. I went to therapy twice a week for the next month. Talked through the marriage, the divorce, the break-in, the fear. Worked on strategies for boundaries, for emotional regulation, for reclaiming my sense of safety. And slowly, something shifted. The permanent restraining order was granted. Marcus didn't show up to contest it. The police warned him that any further violations would result in immediate arrest. He didn't contact me again. Weeks passed, then months. The office thrived. We landed 2 major contracts, hired a 3rd employee, started looking at bigger office space. Maya and I met with my lawyer to discuss transferring ownership of TechBridge back to me. "Are you sure?" she asked. "We're safe as long as it's in my name." "I'm sure." Marcus's civil case was dismissed. "The restraining order is permanent. He's out of moves. And I'm not going to spend the rest of my life hiding from him." So we signed the papers. And TechBridge Solutions became mine again. Legally, officially, undeniably. 6 months after the break-in, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line, "I'm sorry," I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. "Natalie, I know I'm not supposed to contact you. I know I've broken that rule before, and it only made things worse. But I need you to know that I'm getting help. Real help. I'm in a program for gambling addiction. I've been sober from betting for 4 months. I have a job, a small apartment. I'm trying to rebuild my life the way you rebuilt yours. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. For everything. For the lies, the manipulation, the destruction. For making you feel unsafe in your own life. You deserved better. You always did. I hope you're happy. I hope your company is thriving. I hope you found peace. Marcus." I read it 3 times. Then I deleted it. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but because I didn't need his apology. Didn't need his explanation or his redemption arc or his hope for my happiness. I needed him to be gone. Completely. Permanently. And deleting that email felt like closing a door I'd been holding ajar for too long. I told Maya about it later that week over coffee. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Nothing," I said, and it was true. I don't feel angry or sad or relieved. I just feel done. She smiled. "Good." "I've been thinking about something," I said slowly. "About buying back half the company, making us equal partners, officially." Maya set down her coffee. "You don't have to do that." "I know, but you saved me, Maya. When Marcus came after me, you didn't hesitate. You restructured your entire life to protect mine. And I want you to have a real stake in this. Not just as a favor, but because you've earned it." Her eyes welled up. "Are you sure?" "Completely." We shook hands. Then we hugged. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't carrying the weight alone. TechBridge Solutions became a true partnership. Maya and I, equal owners, equal voices, equal investment. And it was the best decision I ever made. A year after the break-in, I got a letter in the mail. Not from Marcus, from his mother. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. "Dear Natalie, I wanted you to know that Marcus is doing well. He's been sober from gambling for over a year now. He has a steady job, and he's in therapy. He speaks highly of you and the time you spent together. He says you taught him what strength looks like. I know he hurt you. I know he made terrible choices. But I wanted you to know that he's changing. He's becoming the man he should have been all along. I don't expect you to reach out or forgive him. I just thought you'd want to know. Take care, Susan Webb." I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Not because I cared about Marcus's redemption. Not because I needed closure or validation or proof that leaving him was the right choice. But because it was a reminder. A reminder that I'd survived, that I'd rebuilt, that I'd won. Not by destroying him, not by revenge or bitterness or holding on to rage, but by letting go. By choosing myself. By building a life so full and so strong that he couldn't touch it. And that was the best revenge of all. 2 years after the break-in, Maya and I were featured in a local business magazine. "Portland's Rising Tech Stars," the headline read. The article talked about TechBridge's growth, our innovative approach to data migration, our commitment to client relationships. There was a photo of us in the office, standing in front of the brick wall where Marcus had spray painted "Sell." We'd painted over it, of course, covered it with a mural, a rising sun breaking through dark clouds. The interviewer asked about the symbolism. Maya smiled. It represents resilience, the ability to take something broken and make it beautiful. I didn't add anything. Didn't mention Marcus or the break-in or the years of fighting to keep what I'd built, because it wasn't his story anymore. It was mine. That night, I went home to my apartment, bigger now, in a better neighborhood, with actual furniture instead of thrift store finds. I poured a glass of wine, sat on my couch, and looked around at the life I'd created. A life where I didn't check the locks twice, where I didn't flinch at unknown numbers, where I didn't brace for the next threat. A life where I was free. My phone buzzed, a text from Maya. Drinks tomorrow to celebrate the article? I smiled. Absolutely. I set down my phone and took a sip of wine, looking out the window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Marcus was living his life. Sober, employed, in therapy, becoming the man he should have been. Good for him. But it wasn't my concern, wasn't my responsibility, wasn't my story. My story was this. A woman who'd been betrayed, threatened, and nearly destroyed, who'd fought back not with anger or revenge, but with strategy and boundaries, and the courage to let go. A woman who'd lost everything and built it back better. A woman who'd learned that freedom wasn't the absence of threats. It was the refusal to let them define you. And as I sat in my apartment, surrounded by everything I'd created, I realized something. I'd won. Not because Marcus had changed or apologized or disappeared, but because I had. I was no longer the woman who stayed too long, who sacrificed too much, who believed love meant enduring pain. I was the woman who left, who rebuilt, who chose herself. And that was the greatest victory of all. I finished my wine, rinsed the glass, and got ready for bed. Tomorrow, Maya and I would celebrate. We'd toast to Tech Bridge, to partnership, to the future. But tonight, I celebrated alone. Celebrated the quiet, ordinary miracle of a life where I was safe, where I was whole, where I was free. A life where Marcus was nothing but a memory. And memories, I'd learned, only have the power you give them. I gave them none. I turned off the lights, climbed into bed, and fell asleep within minutes. No checking locks, no flinching at sounds, no bracing for threats. Just sleep. Deep, peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. The sleep of a woman who'd fought her battles and won. Not because she'd destroyed her enemy, but because she'd saved herself. And in the end, that was all that mattered.